Stephanie White is in fact trying to turn the Indiana Fever into last year's Connecticut Sun. Stephanie White let it slip. She said she wanted to, you know, let Caitlin be Caitlin. And it is very clear her offensive philosophy. It is very clear what Stephanie White is trying to
When Stephanie White strutted back into Gainbridge Fieldhouse as the Indiana Fever's head coach, it felt like a cosmic alignment. An Indiana native, a former Fever superstar, and the very woman who'd once steered this ship to the 2015 WNBA Finals. What in the world could possibly go wrong?
Stephanie White and Christy Sides. It's hard to believe we're even bringing up Christy Sides' name, but that's where we are. Why? Because we got Fever fans that are missing her. Last Christy Sides was let go, and we thought we were sold a bill of goods that Stephanie White was going to be this up.
The internet exploded with praise. Fans were absolutely buzzing. Analysts were practically throwing confetti, and even the grumpiest skeptics gave a rare, approving nod. White seemed like the absolute perfect piece to slot into a Fever squad that had just pulled off the biggest coup in WNBA history by landing the most hyped rookie on the planet.
It is very, very clear what Stephanie White is trying to do with this team. And what she's trying to do with this team is she wants them to turn into she wants them to be old WNBA. She wants them to be old WNBA. And she wants the team to be what she had success with in Connecticut. She doesn't want this team playing fast. She wants them.
But fast forward to right now, and let me tell you, that honeymoon phase, it's not just over, it's dead, buried, and has a tombstone etched with regret. What started as a basketball fantasy has spiraled into an absolute nightmare, and Fever fans are screaming so loud, they're making a last-second buzzer-beater crowd sound like a quiet library.
All right, Fever fans, it's time to have a very difficult conversation. One that we don't really want to talk about. The question is, what are we going to do about Stephanie White? You know, a lot of you were screaming, get rid of Christy Sides. For Stephanie White, you were happy, you were excited, you were stoked. But I think Stephanie White has a lot to do with this team's failure.
So let's just rip off the band-aid and talk about the straw that absolutely shattered the camel's back. The Dwana Bonner situation. Coach White brought in this two-time WNBA champ, this veteran presence who was supposed to be the magical missing puzzle piece. Bonner was meant to be the wise sage, the steady hand, the championship guide for a young roster built squarely around Caitlin Clark. Instead, what we got was a coaching staff that practically twisted themselves into a pretzel trying to cater to a player who clearly had zero interest in being there.
And I'm talking about being happy personally. Like, I want her to be happy personally. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. You know, it's a different group. While system might still be very similar, it's a different group, and you know, things are happening quickly. And
I cannot believe, I mean this when I say this, I cannot believe the Indiana Fever had what was the best offense in the WNBA post-Olympic break, and hired the coach with the worst offense in WNBA to bring the worst offensive system to the best offensive team. What are we doing? Like, again, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Stephanie White is...
White literally torched her entire offensive playbook just to try and force Bonner into the lineup. She ditched the high-octane Clark-centric fireworks that had made the Fever appointment television, and instead jammed in some ancient traditional system that supposedly suited Bonner's veteran sensibilities. The grand result, a monumental flaming disaster. Bonner started a grand total of 3 games out of 9, limped to a pathetic 7.1 points per game, and then conveniently ghosted for personal reasons before ultimately demanding her release.
Hire an NBA coach like Mark Jackson, and I became the Leo DiCaprio meme holding the beer and the cigarette pointing at the TV, because when Christy Sides got fired last year, I said, hire Mark Jackson or Larry Bird. You need a National Basketball Association male coach in there that's not that doesn't give a rip what any of these other women in this league think. Doesn't have a connection to them, none of that, but has a connection to Indiana, obviously a deep-seated one. Both have coached, Both have done well. Larry's getting long in the tooth. I get it, but he could probably do it for a couple of years. My point was a couple of years, similar style to Caitlin Clark's play, and get her into the hump, over the hump of the trials and tribulations of being in a professional.
But here's where it gets truly infuriating. Stephanie White is now stuck with an offensive system that quite literally doesn't revolve around Caitlin Clark. The woman who is supposed to be the face of the franchise, the generational talent packing arenas and shattering viewership records, is being shoehorned into an offense designed for a player who up and quit on the team. And the numbers, oh, they're not just lying. They're screaming a terrifying truth every Fever fan needs to hear. Clark's averaging 18.2 points and 8.9 assists. Solid, sure, but nowhere near the MVP caliber fireworks we all signed up for. What's even more gut-wrenching is seeing Clark, who utterly dominated college by taking over games with her absurd range and vision, being told to pass first and shoot second.
Stephanie White has ruined, flat out ruined this once great, electrifying, must-see TV Indiana Fever offense. There's no more excuses. It is what it is. But now, it doesn't work. She has broken this offense. I don't know if this is a sabotage job. I don't know what's going on. I don't understand how we went from literally the fastest offense to the slowest to second slowest team in the league. I don't understand how we get 2 fast break points in a game. I don't understand how we have 11 fast break points.
This isn't the Caitlin Clark we know, is it? This isn't the supernova who could single-handedly drag teams to victory with logo threes and physics-defying passes. No, instead, we're stuck watching a caged version of greatness, a player being forced to squeeze into a system instead of having the system built specifically for her unparalleled talents. And when former WNBA executive Lynn Dunn pulls no punches, blasting White for holding Clark back and suggesting the coach and her star live on different basketball planets, you know it's time to pay attention. Decades of experience aren't just blowing smoke.
The pace is too slow. They're doing set play. They're walking up the court. Last year, if you remember, Christy had them running up and down the court. I was one of those people last year in the beginning of the season. I said, Christy Sides got to go. I didn't like the way she managed the game. But when she made it to the playoffs, I thought she deserves another shot with new personnel. I think this team might be better with this skill, with this team, these skilled players, and Christy Sides.
This was supposed to be Caitlin Clark's MVP coronation. The betting markets had her as the preseason favorite, and the hype was stratospheric, and rightly so. Instead, we're watching a player who can't stay healthy, battling through quad strains and groin injuries that have sidelined her from crucial games. 6 games missed this season. 6 games for a player who, get this, never missed a single game in her entire college career. The timing is beyond suspicious, the frequency is straight up alarming, and the pattern is now impossible to ignore. And get this, Clark's latest groin injury came with just 12 seconds left in a game the Fever had already won against Seattle. Seriously, why was she even on the court in garbage time? That's a coaching decision, plain and simple, and it directly led to Clark getting hurt. The absolute cherry on top of this frustration Sunday? White's response to these injuries has been tone deaf at best. When grilled about Clark's groin, White admitted she found out late last night, then repeatedly declared she stays in her lane when it comes to medical decisions. The total lack of urgency, the apparent disconnect from her star player's health, it all paints a crystal clear picture of a coach who's completely lost control of her team.
Also have questions about, well, was this whole thing mismanaged from the get-go? And I'm talking about the original quad injury, right? Never mind the Stephanie White's style of play. That's clearly not fitting with the personnel. That's not working. So, a byproduct of Stephanie White's latest shortcomings, and yeah, they won the game last night, but they almost blew it in the fourth quarter, just like they blew the game against the Sparks the night before in the fourth quarter. The Fever should have 2 straight victories right now, easily. Actually, 3, because they beat the Storm. They should be on a 3-game heater right.
Meanwhile, the league itself is doing a spectacular job of failing to protect its biggest star. Caitlin Clark has become a human punching bag, absorbing flagrant fouls, cheap shots, and a level of physical play that would make an NHL enforcer blush. The Connecticut Sun game perfectly summed up the absurdity. After Clark took a shot to the face and got knocked to the ground, she was the one who got slapped with a technical foul. Stephanie White has voiced her complaints about the officiating, but her words ring utterly hollow when her own coaching decisions are actively putting Clark directly in harm's way. Bad officiating is bad officiating, White quipped after the Sun incident. But what about bad coaching? What about the epic failure to protect your star player through smart substitutions and actual game management? It's gotten so bad that Sophie Cunningham, acting as Clark's self-appointed on-court bodyguard, has had to take matters into her own hands, basically issuing ultimatums to referees that she'll step in if they won't keep Clark safe. When your own players are forced to threaten officials because the coaching staff can't keep their superstars safe, something is fundamentally irreparably broken.
There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of.
The Indiana Fever are limping along at 8-8 in the Eastern Conference, a record that screams mediocrity at the top of its lungs. This is a team that loaded up on significant talent in the offseason, locked down their core pieces, and brought in a proven coach. Yet instead of launching themselves toward championship contention, they're just treading water. The franchise has actually regressed from their playoff appearance last season. And trust me, the eye test is even more depressing than the stats. The Fever are a dismal 2-4 in their last 6 games, including utterly embarrassing losses to teams they should be dominating. They're blowing leads, crumbling in crunch time, and showing an absolute void of identity on both ends of the floor. When you're sitting on a generational talent like Caitlin Clark, an all-star center in Aaliyah Boston, and a roster supposedly built to complement their skills, an 88 record isn't just disappointing, it's a damning indictment of the coaching staff's utter inability to maximize talent.
I don't understand. And it don't take a genius to figure out the formula in which we was running. We was running and gunning, playing fast. Stephanie White, again, we wanted no parts of your Connecticut offense. No parts of it. We wanted the defense. That's it. That's it. And at this point, I am missing Christy Sides, guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Once Christy Sides figured out that she needed to play Caitlin's style and let Caitlin do Caitlin, things was running well. I got to be honest with you. And it was must-see television. Must-see television.
The cracks in this foundation are not just showing, they're widening into gaping chasms by the minute. Sophie Cunningham's post-game comments after their recent loss to the Sparks were a brutally honest gut punch. "We have our own islands," she lamented, adding, "As one of the leaders of the team, I gotta do a better job of grouping people." Islands in a locker room? That's not the language of a unified team fighting for a common goal. That's the telltale sign of a fractured group desperately struggling to find its identity under a coaching staff that's completely failing to provide direction. "No one likes us," Cunningham continued, acknowledging that the Fever are circled on everyone's schedule. While that should be a fire lit under them, great teams thrive on being everyone's best shot. It's crystal clear this Fever team is wilting under the pressure rather than rising to meet it. And here's the kicker. The pressure isn't just on Stephanie White. The entire front office structure that greenlit her hiring is now under intense scrutiny. This was supposed to be the organization's championship window, the perfect storm of talent, experience, and opportunity. Instead, they're just watching their multi-million-dollar investment crumble in real time.
Sophie Cunningham goes in the post-game press conference and confirms what we've all known all along. This locker room is split, and she uses the term different islands going on in this locker room. It turns out that Christy Sides and all of those toilet paper mummy activities, all those scavenger hunt activities, the wiffle ball coming back from the Olympic break, it turned out that those stupid games actually played a big part along with Erica Wheeler's veteran leadership, keeping this locker room, keeping this team together. We got no Erica Wheeler. We got no Christy Sides, the chaperone. We got none of that. And Sophie Cunningham confirms what we've all...
Let's just say it plainly. The Dwana Bonner signing was a catastrophic blunder from day one. The absolute failure to build an offensive system that unleashes Caitlin Clark's otherworldly talents isn't just a mistake, it's organizational malpractice. And the inability to keep their undeniable star player healthy through smart game management, that's a coaching failure that reflects directly on the entire basketball operations department. Kelly Krauskopf, the president of basketball operations who championed White's hiring, is now rightly facing tough questions about whether she made the right choice. Because when you've got a generational talent like Clark, there is zero margin for error. Every single decision, every system, every player acquisition should be made with one single laser-focused question in mind. Does this help Caitlin Clark dominate basketball games? And here's the uncomfortable truth that Fever fans are finally painfully starting to accept. Stephanie White's system simply doesn't work with this roster. The high assist motion heavy offense that hummed with her Connecticut Sun teams just doesn't translate to a squad built around a dynamic record shattering scorer like Clark.
The case may be, this team is looking like it's out of control. We got Dwana Bonner missing in action. Fans putting out missing posters of her. She's unfollowing people, pretty much deleting all of her Indiana Fever posts. It's looking freaking spooky. Now, I've been wanting to try to give them a benefit of the doubt, bro. Lynn Dunn, Stephanie White, the whole front office, even Kelly Cristobal. I thought they really had some things going when they brought in Dwana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham. I mean, these are key players, even Sid Coulson. I just expected way more out of this team, and I'm here to tell you, this is not...
White swaggered in preaching a gospel of pace, perimeter shooting, and defensive toughness. What we've seen instead, the Fever are playing slower, taking worse shots, and failing miserably to generate the easy scoring opportunities that should practically fall into their laps when you've got a player of Clark's caliber running the show. The most damning evidence of all, both Clark and Aaliyah Boston look their absolute best when they completely ditch the system and just play pure basketball. The Fever are giving up 79.7 points per game, which isn't terrible, but they're consistently failing to generate the crucial stops they need in crunch time. Even more critically, they're doing an abysmal job of protecting their star player from the brutal physical play that's become a trademark of every game involving Clark. Most importantly, the coaching staff needs to prioritize Clark's health and availability above literally everything else. No more playing in garbage time, no more extended minutes and meaningless stretches. The entire future of this franchise hinges on keeping Clark healthy and productive.
This year, Stephanie White overmanages. She micromanages. And she likes pace. Christy Sides didn't give a damn about pace. They were the fastest team in the WNBA. Do we give Stephanie a second look? Because I think this season is a failure. I didn't expect them to lose 6 games all year, let alone 6 or 7 games right out.
So here's the cold, hard reality that should absolutely terrify every single Fever fan. Championship windows don't stay open forever. Caitlin Clark is in her prime, Aaliyah Boston is blossoming into a certified star, and the supporting cast is arguably the best it's ever been. But if this coaching staff can't figure out how to maximize this raw talent, if they can't build a system that unleashes Clark to dominate, then this entire grand experiment will be remembered as nothing short of a catastrophic failure. The pressure is mounting, the expectations are clear, and the patience of Fever fans is thinner than single-ply toilet paper. Stephanie White looked like the perfect choice when she was hired, but perfect choices don't lead to 8-8 records and a locker room full of islands. And based on everything we've witnessed so far, Fever fans have every damn right to be absolutely furious about that possibility. The question isn't whether changes need to be made, it's whether those changes will come before it's tragically, unforgivably too late. Because right now, the Indiana Fever are failing Caitlin Clark, and that, my friends, is a sin that cannot be forgiven.